Okay, we're ready to begin with the head coach of the Ramblers, Coach Porter Moser. Coach, welcome to North Texas, City of Dallas, the NCAA Tournament, and your thoughts as you begin tournament play.
You know, excited for our program, the university, our guys, obviously to be here. Dallas is a great city. I was fortunate enough to coach at Texas A&M for 6 years and recruited the area a lot. And my wife's from Texas. And ironically, in 1989, when I played for the Creighton Blue Jays, our regional was Dallas Regional. Played at Dallas Regional Arena. So it's a really great city and excited to be back.
Well, welcome back. Good to have you. Okay, Coach, question on the left on the inside aisle.
David Hoff of the Chicago Tribune supporter. How did that go? What do you remember about as a player being here in the regional?
I remember it was the same kind of feeling as in terms of the group. We had a really close family atmosphere, very close-knit group and coaching staff at Creighton. And we went into the game, and we were playing a Missouri team, and it's a game that just sticks in my craw, still does. We were in control of the game, and they were loaded. They had Anthony Peeler, Doug Smith, Lee Coward, Church, Byron Irvin. I mean, they were loaded. And Doug Smith hit a half-court shot. We were up like 6 or 8, 6-9, and they hit the shot and went into halftime and just kind of turned the momentum. And we ended up getting beat to a very, very good Missouri team back then. But the experience of the NCAA tournament, I've been asked this a lot. What's better as a player or coach? And unequivocally, it's a player. You know, it's just you have a short window as a player. The excitement, that's what you're working on as a boy, watching it, dreaming it, and just watching these guys up here to share this with them. As you listen to them talk, you can understand top to bottom. We got high character guys that you want to go into battle with. And so the experience of having a close-knit group is very similar to what I had at Creighton.
Okay, Coach, let's go in the back underneath the TV light. Here on the right.
Adam Grossbard, Dallas Morning News. How have you seen Cameron Krutwig develop as his freshman season has gone on?
You know, he's the most vocal player that I've ever coached. I mean, he is locked in. He's talking ball screens. He's talking, yelling. You know, I remember one of the quotes we had on our wall culture is, "Great defenses are noisy." And he's constantly talking. His confidence level has just risen as it went on. And I'll tell you, I probably made a mistake early on. Earlier in the year, he's an elite passer. He's really good, old school passer. So we were running a lot of things through him, and I think he was passing. His first and second thought was pass. And it was about right around Christmas, and after Christmas, the conference started, I was getting mad at him because he was passing out of the post with 2 feet in the paint and just got on him pretty good. And he is now looking to score when he gets a deep catch. And now you saw his scoring average just go up. He still can really pass. Everyone knows that, but he's getting more of a mad mentality when he gets it down low. And I love that. He spent a lot of time getting his body right. He lost 30 pounds in the offseason, and I think he's just scratching the surface. I think this offseason he'll be focused in on agility, you know, not only losing weight, but getting that next maturation process with weights and conditioning. And but he's a fun kid to coach because he's locked in every single day. He's locked in on scouting, what we're supposed to do. He's a very, very fun kid to coach.
Okay, we'll stay here on the right, toward the middle.
Maddie Kenny from the Sun-Times. I talked to Steve Watson, I think, a few years ago. He's a basketball guy, obviously, and he said it takes time for a program to rebuild the way that you guys wanted to do it, the right way. Did you think you would be here this quickly?
You know, Maddie, I did. You always think that. And, you build your program to that. And I know when we got here, we were last in the horizon, and then jumping to the Valley was a huge jump. And then that first year, we took a hit. And then the second year on, which is the last 4 years, we won the CBI championship. We've won 85 games the last 4 years. So that's what your vision. Your vision is to get here. We've showed the team one shining moment. We've had our own private selection show, with our own team, with nobody there, going, this has got to be us. So it's been more than visualization. The effort these guys have put in, it's been a grassroots rebuild. an absolute grassroots rebuild, from going to the dorms, trying to get students involved, to speaking at freshman orientation, to just absolutely the recruiting process of the amount of time and effort we put in that to get the right kind of kids, the right kind of student athletes, to balance the education and the type of people we wanted at Loyola. So it's been grassroots from the very, very beginning.
On the left.
I think Mark has talked about, you guys talk about having blinders on and trying to ignore the noise. How difficult has that been this week?
You always love it when players regurgitate what you say in the locker room. We talk about this laser-like focus with their guys, because how the experience they went through is the last 8 or 9 games of our season. It was, you start talking about the first 4 in, first 4 out, and that starts happening so early. And everything they heard was we weren't in. We had to win the tournament. So we kept on talking about having these blinders on and just focusing in on us, our locker room, what we could control. And then we went into the tournament. We won the league, then we went into the tournament. It was the same thing. We didn't talk about the at-large bid. We didn't talk about that. And that's what we've been talking, that's kind of what we mean by that. And the same thing with the distraction. We've had more distractions around Chicago. I love it. I mean, you've been there, David. Have you seen, there's been more people talking about Loyola basketball in 30-some years. And the guys are handling it because they're high-character guys. They know, every practice, every film session has been locked in. And obviously, the NCAA Tournament is another level of attention, spotlight, which is great for them. That's what they wanted. And their focus hasn't changed. This week of practice, these film sessions has been good, and the blinders have got to be strictly on Miami. What we have to do for ourselves and what we have to do with Miami. Nothing further. It is those 2 hours when we play them Thursday.
Anything else for Coach? Okay. Again, in the middle on the right.
You found DeAndre at a junior college around here. Do you remember that, and how difficult was that to find him?
No, there's always reports, and we were following him. And one of the things we like people when the first report we read on him is that he gets a lot done. He's very efficient, but he's undersized. And sometimes high majors read that word undersized, and it scares them off. And it's never scared me off. I'd rather have a 6'5" guy that is unbelievably efficient. So then you started digging in, and Andre was the 2nd or 3rd leading field goal percentage player in the nation in junior college. Well, that translates. I remember Majerus used to always talk, that translates. Last year as a junior, he was in the top 5 in the nation in Division I in field goal percentage. So we flew out to the national tournament to watch him on this stage, and he played, I think it was Northwest Florida, a team that was loaded. I think they ended up winning it all. And, he played really well against 6'9", 6'10" guys. He just had a knack to get it done, and I thought he'd be perfect for what we tried to do. The fact that he was 6'5" and not 6'7", 6'8", those things don't bother me. I like guys that can get it done rather than, just looks good to announce to your boosters that you guys signed a 6'8" guy.
Okay, here on the middle.
A lot of the experts are calling Loyola a team that can, shake things up and be a Cinderella team. Do you guys see yourselves as that?
No, we haven't, Maddie, we haven't talked about it a lot, and I'll tell you why. We've always said the predictions are only from within your own locker room. We weren't picked to win the Missouri Valley Conference. We weren't picked to finish 2nd. And the same thing. It's unfathomable to think that you got a team like Miami. They finished 3rd in one of the best conferences in the country, in the ACC. I've been watching them on tape, extremely well coached, space it. Lonnie Walker's is a pro. He really is a good player. They got a ton of good players. I love what one of our guys said about respect. We've talked about it in our locker room all year long. We said it when we went to Florida. We said we went into Indiana State. We said it to Northern Iowa. Every team we said, this day and age, respect is not a weakness. Sometimes people think you can't respect. Respect's not a weakness. And, these guys have an unbelievable amount of respect for Miami, and we're all our focus is on what we have to do to try to contain their athleticism, because they're extremely athletic. But we haven't bought into this, I can imagine what they're saying. They finished 3rd in the ACC. They're really, really good.
Okay, again on the left.
Porter, from Jerry Harkness to Gene Sullivan to Alfredrick Hughes, when you do something like this, a lot of the history of your program becomes a part of the present. How have you tried to incorporate that so these players are, live that tradition and don't forget that, excuse me, now?
You know, David, I've said it from the beginning. I've had the guys talk to them. I've from the very beginning, I've said the past is part of our future. And when you start talking about the 63 national championship team, and what they went through with segregation and the game of change, I think this has been one of the best things. You know, Shannon Ryan wrote a great story about the 63 national team, and the conversation to talk about that for young people. Look it up. There's a great video on it, a great movie on it. It's unbelievable what these guys went through. And then when you get to know them, you get to know the Jerry Harknesses, the Jack Egans of that team, you're like, these guys did it. Unbelievable character, unbelievable guys. I love how Al Frederick's era. I mean, Al Frederick called me like he was like he was right there himself going to the tournament. He was so excited, congratulating our guys. And pride is an awesome human trait. And to see the pride coming out of Loyola alumni, Chicago, is a fun thing for the Loyola University. But 100%, what they did in the past, the 63 team, and what they went through and persevered, has been something that's been talked about with our guys in our program. And I love that this NCAA run here, getting in the tournament, has brought that 63 team and what they meant to the country at that time to light.
Okay, here in the middle on the right.
Coach Wendell Barnhouse from The Athletic. Hope this hasn't been talked about, but the fact that you're kind of being able to bridge Coach Majerus to this team. I was talking to Ben Richardson about how you explain about successful people and you can kind of emulate that sort of stuff. Can you maybe articulate a little bit more about Coach Majerus maybe having an influence on this team?
100%. I mean, Coach Majerus had a huge impact on my life, my coaching career. You know, just being around a guy like that who thinks differently and just thinks, you know, in game preparations. But there's so many things I took from it. One of it, it was amazing how he taught the game. You know, you can go to practices, clinics, and people will talk about your practices, and you'll see a coach yell at a kid, all right, I want you to hard hedge the ball screen. And then you see Coach Majerus say, all right, your toes have to be perpendicular facing the sideline. Your shoulders got to be ahead here. Your hips can't be, I mean, there's a million teaching points on how specifically to hedge it. That's kind of how the wall of culture that we've had in our program, in our locker room start. There's a lot of little phrases that he used that, you know, our guys have bought into. And he was an amazing teacher. It resonated with the guys. And here's a great example. This was fun. I've had former players will call and they said, you know, they watch a game differently. So Dante Ingram in the hotel yesterday, we have one of our thing is never come off a corner shooter. Like, that was a big Rick Majerus thing. Never come off a corner shooter. The corner three is the highest percentage shot. So yesterday, literally, we were in the hotel, and they were watching a game, and Dante was screaming because he's like, look at that guy come all the way off the corner, off the shooter, and they hit a three. And it's fun to see them look at the game differently. And that's any player that played for Coach Majerus will say that. He said, you look at the game differently after playing for Rick Majerus. I coached the game differently after working for Coach Majerus.
Closing questions for Coach Moser? Okay, Coach, over in the extreme left, toward the middle of the room.
Yep. Hi, from the Miami Herald. So could you expound a little bit on Miami, and do you think that they'll be, well, they said that yesterday that they are motivated by the fact that you guys are being called the Cinderella, the sleeper team, the upset team. How do you think that'll affect the Miami players, and also what about the Miami team scares you, not scares you, but concerns you the most?
You can use the word scare. It's okay. They're unbelievably athletic and long. Coach Larinaga, they do a great job spacing the floor. They really space you, and they're going to drive you. They got guys that can shoot it. Their length, you know, we just don't see length and athleticism to the level that Miami has, and they just space you. So, you know, that's one thing is their combination of being able to strike you off the dribble. You know, sometimes you'll have teams that can strike you off the dribble, then you can pack off, and they're not great shooters. They got some big-time shooters on the perimeter to go with that athleticism. So, in the Cinderella thing, you know, it's just both teams have to look at it. Predictions, all that stuff only matter within your own locker room. What you believe and what you think, and I know they're not buying into it. I can tell you right now, I'm watching how hard they play and how much they space the floor. So I know they're not buying into it. It has nothing to do with Thursday. From our end, from their end, it's hard to fathom, like I said earlier, that they're the They finished third in the ACC, which is like an unbelievable conference when you just start looking at it. I mean, it's unbelievable. And they finished third. And they're, they check a lot of boxes. They're well coached. They space the floor. They got shooters, athleticism. So there's going to be no lack of respect or no, we're not looking like they're the underdog 100%. There's a ton of respect from our end going into this Miami game.
All right, we're out of time for Coach because he has practice to take care
Thank
of.
you.
Coach, thanks for being with us. Good luck tomorrow.